Going on, people? Back at it again. All right. Got my phone angled down farther away. Might be good with the camera angle. But the goal is the key for the future. Man, I had a long talk last night. Talked with some great guys. Conversation went back and forth, up and down. Got a little sideways, got back on track. But the thing of it was, the conversation was the conversation. And, we talked about a lot of stuff that influenced us, most of the men that was on the panel. There was no women on the panel, but, there were women that stopped in and throughout the chat. But I had a great conversation, great powwow. Talked about a lot of good things. And for the most part, man, we had a great time, talking about things about the economy. Like I said, I'm not really for one to talk about a lot of stuff about government and religion, but at the same time, we were just having a conversation. And, overall, it was pretty cool. We had a couple of fellas came around the channels with Boss Lady was going on, and we're just talking, talking about a lot of stuff about the economy, like I was talking about with money, jobs, things of that nature. When it come down to it, I try not to denounce people and their views and the way they feel, but if it gets too disrespectful, then we have to step in and kind of pull martial law. But other than that, I just let people talk and vent, because there's some guys I talk to from spaces that have issue with women because of the way they were treated. But overall, when it comes down to it, pretty genuine good guys, pretty genuine good women that I talk to, that same have issue with men, and things come about. But overall, the message, to me, was still pending on us trying to work together for the greater good. No matter who gets in office, we still gonna have to, live. And in order for us to live, we still gonna have to, worry about bills. We still gonna have to worry about our pay. Looking to try to get better pay from our jobs. What's going on, Doug? And a lot of times, people will come in and take, negative talks or arguments and turn it into something bad. So pretty much, I like the way how everybody came up. We was according. We talked about this, situation we in now. Talked about things dealing with the government. Who comes in office? Is it going to help us or not? All these trolls that want to play, man, I ain't got time today. Alright, so, but like I said, back to the conversation, man, we got to sit there and be able to, figure out what we're going to do with our money. Because be that as it may, alright, I send you $25. What's your cash app? I'm for real. I'll send it to you. Put your cash app up there. I mean, like I said, be that as it may, a lot of times, man, we going through situations. Ain't nobody here to help. Coming down to it, dealing with if you think the government gonna save you, man, you mistaken. Because when it come down to it, You got to think about yourself. Like a lot of times, these programs that help us actually hurt us. Seneca, what's going on? When we talk about bailouts, like for paying our student loan, you went to school to do what? Get education, find a good job. You didn't find a good job, but still you got to pay that money back. That go against all the other people that went to school, work hard, and paid that money back. Now they looking at to the point where they can't do what you did. So what type of money are they supposed to get, for that? So when it come down to it, a lot of people, man, it's just crazy right now. We in a situation like with the migrant crisis. A lot of people keep trying to, this whole back and forth political thing. A lot of the people who are from Mexico and other countries who came over here and did the responsible thing and got their green card, they sit there and actually are mad because you got to figure this. You did the process. I came over, got my green card, stayed here for a while, liked it, applied for citizenship. Or I came across the border, illegally, went and did the proper ways to get myself registered as a citizen. I paid the money, because you got to pay to get your citizenship. You got to go through the process. People who don't got their green card no more because they had a visa, something expired, to the point they got to go back to their country. A lot of them still just be here. Tamika, what's going on? And it gets to a point where a lot of them are mad because I did it right, but you letting people come up here and do it wrong. That's where a lot of people are having this issue. Like, even the people who are from other countries are mad because you're letting so many people over here for free. You giving this one Mexican guy and his wife, they was like the American dream for us, bringing our kids over here. Our kids are citizens. We bought a house. I'm talking about, this is an old guy. This guy bought a house like in his 60s, him and his wife. They was like, we finally got the American dream to buy a house. 60s now. And then you got somebody that come over here and Kamala and them plan puts them in the point of getting a house less than 90 days. Even though the process, like this whole, craziness. First of all, how somebody gonna get a house in 90 days without no credit? What loan company? You would have to have a loan company that's backed by the government that's forcing these people to give them houses without no credit. Then that goes against every African American that's over here that gets denied, that have a 580 and a 420, to the point where somebody comes over here with no credit automatically gets a house. That's a complete slap in the face. Then you look at the process, the work. Yeah, they might get a job, but to the point of them getting a job, how much money they're gonna make? Because we all know when you moving into an apartment, they automatically tell you you must hold it at minimum 3 times the rent. So if it's $1,500, you got to be bringing in $3,500 a month to your house. I'm sorry, $4,500 a month to your house. You got to be bringing at least $4,500 a month to your house. And if you're not bringing in that $4,500 a month, you can't get in that apartment. There's ways of getting around it. People know how to do, but ultimately, most people just need a chance. Because honestly speaking, when it comes down to it, I know people that pay their bills on time, have decent money, but every month is paycheck to paycheck. Every month. Every month is paycheck to paycheck. That's how they move. That's how they work. Paycheck to paycheck every month. And when it comes down to it, we literally have points to where we always know you're one paycheck from being homeless. Most people are one paycheck from being homeless. You can't even afford to miss no days at work, actually. You got to use all your vacation days if you get hurt. Alonzo does a great deal talking about, I always call it the Aflac insurance. So if you get hurt, you're able to, get your income, especially for jobs. If you're an owner operator and you're your own boss, but you subcontract, if you do that, I have a lot of those guys at my job like that. So if one of my coworkers who are owner operators get hurt, they own their own business. So if they get hurt, there's no workers' comp for them. If they don't have a workers' comp outside of a company that they deal with, ain't no workers' comp for them. They just off. They not going to work. Like, that's the crazy part about it. A lot of people sit there and say, well, when it come down to it, man, this count, that count. Nobody's coming to save you. That's why I don't understand when a lot of people are always talking about they want to be a boss of their own business. We talked about this last night on that video. Go check it out. It's about 3 hours, man. It was long. But when it came down to it, nobody's coming to say, when I was running my own business, nobody was there to help me. I wore every hat. Everything from the driver to doing the paperwork, secretary, payroll, all that stuff. Alonzo even said it. Most people who run business on their own are sole proprietors. They don't have employees. How you gonna be a boss without an employee? Who you bossing around? Yourself? Like, who you bossing around with no employees? I'm a boss, man. I have my own company. I'm making 6 figures. A lot of the stuff might be automated. You can't make 6 figures by yourself, unless you're outsourcing stuff to a company. Yes, then you can do that. But a 6-figure company by yourself, impossible. You got your kids work. Somebody got to be working for you. There's no way you have a 6-figure company and you doing everything on your own. Yeah. You. I mean, obviously you can do a real estate, have a 6-figure portfolio, so I can give you that. But anything dealing with products, that's a lot of work. I'm telling you now, a lot of work. I know the scope. A lot of work. And right now, a lot of people, this whole presidential thing has got everybody in arms. But when it comes down to it, I sent a poll on my Facebook and I told people, how are y'all voting? Are y'all voting from your feelings? Or are y'all voting from the policies or the facts? Because let's be honest, when it comes down to it, a lot of people are voting from feelings. A lot of people voting because he say, she say, not looking at the facts. I just got on my son yesterday. He was dealing with the periodic table, and he didn't know the position of I think it was lithium, like the negative and the positive going. It had it on the chart. He didn't know how to read the chart. So I said, oh, okay. And he's like, Daddy, can you help me? And this was the funny part about that. He said, Dad, can you help me? I said, okay, what you need help with? Told me about that. You need to know the positive, negative side of lithium. And I say, well, the chart's in front of you. Read the chart. He goes and says, man, I don't understand it. I said, well, Google it. I said, you boys have Google. Back in our day, we had to pick up a book and figure it out. We had to go to Encyclopedia Britannica, Book of Knowledge, which is still an encyclopedia. Unbiased, what's going on with you? We had to go to the computer if we could during the time of libraries, because back then a lot of people didn't have computers. Computers were for the elite, or you had money. And those were the IBM computers back in the day, the green screens. When you start moving up, I remember one of my favorite games was Oregon Trail. I didn't get a computer till high school. I bought the first computer in our house. I bought it. I bought it from my coach. He sold computers. He fixed computers. The first computer I bought was a laptop. I had my AOL trial, and I paid every month the internet. I did that out my money, you know. And then I ended up getting a desktop. I started burning CDs. Shout out to Napster and all them back in the day, man. You know, I was a CD man. You know, so I always had a little hustle on. I was a candy man, CD man. Hey, it made money. But the point of it was, like, I referenced him to Google it. He's like, Dad, that's cheating. I'm like, how is it cheating for you to learn something at home which you don't know? Well, I'm not supposed to be doing that, this and that. I said, son, you learn by Googling this at home, so when you take the test, you're not cheating. That's cheating when you take a test. When you at home, it's your obligation to learn these things from me, your mama, somebody. But since I'm not like your mama, I'm not going to sit here and give you the answers, because in this day and age, these kids are so lazy. All the things are in front of them. They're just too lazy to go look. So I told them, I'm not giving you the answer. I'm not your mama. You know, mom looked at me. My wife was like, no, I'm telling her. That's what you do to them. You spoil them. That's why one of my sons, he was failing in math so bad. My wife will ultimately get frustrated and give him the answer. She will work him through it. What's going on, okay? She will ultimately work him through it. And, you know, kids kind of know what parent to deal with. It's like every time my wife calls me and tell me to call the school, I already know what she's talking about. Because my sons rather call their mother than call me. I answer my phone 24/7. You know, my wife, she works from home, so she can't answer her phone like that. You know, so it gets to a point, if they get in trouble, they know, hey, call mama. You know, the blow will be less. Dad gonna find out, but the blow might be a little less or something. She might not even tell him. It might not be that bad. You know, and then another situation, they already know what I'm going to say. They just don't want to hear it, because especially if they do something wrong. Like one of my sons, he called me. He got into a fight. He called me. And I was like, oh, so we fighting in school now. And, you know, came out, told me it was the same boy that I told you about, Daddy. Cool. Told the school, I said, well, this is one of the same boys that was, you know, picking on my son. I actually called the school and told him before the fight happened. So my son, you know, kind of got a little grace about that, because I called the school and I told him, I said, you know, my son don't want to say nothing because, you know, these kids with the snitching policies and all this stuff, but he has this kid that's always, you know, taunting him and everything. And the crazy part is, the lady told me, she was like, your son is in all AP classes. He a nerd. And I laughed at it when she said it. She was like, he a nerd. The other boy a nerd. Why these two nerds fighting? They need to be doing their work. But, you know, ended up doing that, and he got off because I called the school and told him. So they kind of actually more or less got on the board about him picking on my son, then ultimately fight my son. But, you know, going out there to say, all back into another circle. He ended up eventually learning this stuff on his own. Because when you get down to it, like I tell him, I'm not going to teach you but the basics. Because when you get in this world, that's when you're going to learn your meats and your potatoes. You're going to have to be into an environment in where you got to figure things out. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about, you know, the economy messed up. People need to, you know, start looking for jobs that's going to, you know, help them pay the bills. You know, relationships. Not saying get into a relationship to make money, but the point of it is, they always say 2 heads are better than 1. If you actually find somebody you can work with, and I say that because most people, they got high expectations. And if you can't lower your expectations to actually find someone that you can actually be with, you know, this whole 6-figure thing, I actually was talking about this yesterday too. We was talking about Anton Daniels, a guy named Yaki Awaken. There's another guy, Yaki Awaken. I think his name Yaki. I forgot, it's some Awaken. But basically, he has a podcast. He sells a products just like the other Yaki Awaken, and they sell natural healing products. Muslim guy, you know. And when it come down to it, he was basically vocalizing that if a man can't pay a woman all her bills, then he don't need to be with that woman. Because if he can't pay all the woman's bills, he ain't gonna be able to pay his bills if he by himself. Truth be told, if a man is out here living right now paying his bills, what make you think that man can't live without a woman and pay his bills? And it's vice versa. The woman can do the same. When you get with someone, 50-50 is better than 100. When women say, I can do bad by myself, you're right. You can struggle by yourself. A man not coming in a conversation like that. A man say, if the relationship don't work, then it ain't about the money. It's about the kinship between me and this woman joining and being one. And I'm not saying that about all women, it's some women. Because, I'm not going to stereotype. What's going on, young Wiz? I'm not going to stereotype all women. But the majority of these younger women now, they, kind of prefer, it's a guidance thing. Even with the men, the men. I was looking at That Boy Will on YouTube. And when I say That Boy Will had a video of this girl, she was like, this is why I don't deal with men. This guy was literally on the strip poles, twirling around the strip pole. And he put it on his Instagram. Now, it's only one reason I can give a man for dancing on the strip pole. I gotta say pause to that because I don't condone it, so pause. But if he's an entertainer and he's like a dancer or something like that, that's the only reason. Because, he's an entertainer. So his thing is entertainment. And that's what he do for a living. If your job is to be an entertainer and you entertaining, now, if your job is not to be an entertainer and you out here twirling on the pole as a man, go to jail. But, stuff like that. So when the men always be saying, oh man, these women ain't this, these women ain't, I always go back to you have a choice. You have a choice of dealing with those women. Just like I tell the women, when the man is this way, you have a choice. Most women go after a prototype anyway. Most women are brainwashed to go after a prototype. When they say, all these men out here having sex and having all these kids, there's a certain type of man that's out here having sex and having kids. On average, a lot of men are not out here having sex. Haven't understood. Most men have to get a lot of money to make themselves look good. A lot of money to make themselves look good. And when I say that a lot of, I would even put it a lot of men. There are women who have money that make themselves look good. But just naturally with a certain type for a man because, we're visual. Just like women, they visual. But the thing is, we can move past where you work. We can move past if you got a big forehead. We can move past certain things in order to either mess with a woman in sexual wise or just kind of pick up a relationship. Because the funny thing is, most great relationships that actually start off, it's not started from a position of them two actually falling in love with each other. It started from a position of being a friend, liking each other and being cool, and then going from there. Because let's face it, most people, when they entertain the point of dating, they're just seeing where the other person's head at, especially with men. Women more or less too, but then they kind of see where a man pocket at, how he presents himself. If a man comes throwing cash, you know what category to put him in. If a man comes with some type of discipline and order, you put him in that category. You don't want to deal with him, but he's intriguing because he's not like all men. So that's when you get to those points of relationships and stuff. But like I was saying from the jump, money plays a big factor in all this. And 100% of a relationship, like I told my wife, I paid 100% of the bills before. And I told my wife, if I was in a position that I had just abundance of money, of course I would make it to where she don't work. Why not? Now it comes to a point of I have goals or a plan, then I'll tell her get a part-time just to have some money coming in to do something with it. But other than that, if I'm having her not working a job, she's ultimately actually going to be working for me. Like within the company that I build, I start, she's probably going to do maybe 2 hours of work a day, 3 at best. Because all I want you to do is make sure calls are being made, make sure the account is balanced right, make sure certain things that need to be assigned and did, then that's it. Other than that, I don't see no big issue with, my wife staying home and doing things. Because when it comes down to it, hey, if I'm in position to do that, then there you go. I never understand how we get to points where we're at this whole fight amongst each other, especially in the household. If somebody you married, you should be able to a point to be able to talk it out. I always tell my wife this. I say, men cheat for a reason. Unless you a dog, men cheat for a reason. So having that understanding lets you know when a man is trying to tell you something's going on in a relationship, and this goes for women too as well. When they're telling you something's going on in a relationship and you brush it up on the rug, you can't be mad at the situation at hand when it presents itself. Same rule applies when, most people have a situation to where, financial abuse. If you think your husband is kind of holding back on money, this and that, and you're not working, go get a job. Make life simple for yourself. But if you don't want to work, you can't complain. Same thing if you marry a man that ultimately says he wants to take your paycheck and do things with it. I'm looking at it like this. That was the situation you put yourself in. And I always go back to this. Everybody has a choice in the matter. You have a choice who you marry. You have a choice who you deal with. And actually, to a degree, you actually have a choice who you have a baby with, because most men who say, this crazy woman, this crazy woman, that, there's potential of you having a child if you have sex. So, let's be upfront. She tricked you this, that. You have potential of having a child if you have sex. Being responsible, being accountable. Don't deal with women who you think you don't want to be your wife. Don't deal with women who you think otherwise. The whole point of just having sex, I don't understand where a lot of people are still like older in your life and still doing that. I'm having sex just to be having sex. Cool. But then accept the responsibilities that come behind that. Accept the responsibilities that come behind that. Even to a point, I would even say to most men, if you're unsure, wait till the DNA test results come out. And then, if you're the father, be 100. I literally seen this video. That's why I told my wife, I said, man, I'm glad I'm married. And I even told her, she kind of got offended a little bit about it. But I told her the way the paternity is right now, I'm like, man, if one of my sons didn't come out looking like me, I would have did a paternity test. You know, even it was crazy. My friend, so this is a crazy story. So the lady asked me when I was there getting my wife pregnant. It was like, "Do you want a paternity test?" And I'm like, and she was like, "Oh, B." This was an older lady. She was like, "Oh, get out of here." And I looked at her. I was like, "You making me want to get one?" Then she hushed her mouth. Then, because I'm like, "Hold on, you asked me." I thought about it. You know, I'm like, my wife, I don't consider her being a cheater. So I'll go ahead and sign the birth certificate and all this. But when she asked me that moment, I was like, maybe. You know, I had that maybe in my head. And that's because she asked me. I would have never thought about getting a paternity test, but this is the thing. They have to ask you. Now, this is the crazy part of my friend. So his wife had the kids. They asked him, did he want a paternity test? He said yes. That old lady tried to give him the blues. Man, he actually called the hospital, somebody in the board, and talked to somebody in the midwife department. The midwife, I think midwife department where the babies are being born, and he got her in trouble. He told them that, you know, she was very unprofessional. She asked him about the paternity test, which he was going to get after the kids were born, just, you know, just be on the safe side. He had a paternity test for both of his kids. And, you know, his wife, she was a little offended. But this is the thing. If you're not doing anything wrong, hey, go ahead. How you going to offend me when I know this is your child? Like, go ahead. It shouldn't, automatically it should be mandatory. What's going on, Prince? It should be mandatory that men have paternity tests, and then it cuts all the bull crap out. But then you have situations where they don't. Like this one. Oh, man. So this woman, she ended up talking to this young guy. She was older. Talking to the young guy, asked him, she was like, man, I think she was like 36, 38 something. He's like 25, 23. And she was like, man, could you help me out? You know, could you give me a baby? Had him sign his paperwork. Everything was airtight. He wouldn't have been on the hook for nothing. She goes and once the baby's born, once the baby's conceived, she ended up going around his parents, showing his parents the baby, all this. So the parents like, step up. You the dad. You impregnate this lady, this and that. And, you know, he kind of explained to her, she wanted a child. He tried to help her get a child. You know, she already said she didn't want that, but they didn't want to hear it because they start, you know, liking the child. So, of course, he stepped up in the point of being a man and being there for the child. It was literally crazy because all that time he was, you know, doing stuff for her. She was like, well, I'm going to put you on child support. He had an Airbnb. He let her stay in the Airbnb for a while until she, you know, found her another place to stay. So she ended up getting a boyfriend. He would get visits. She would, you know, make him, when he make her mad, she wouldn't, you know, give him. She actually didn't let him see the child because he fly in from another state. But because he didn't want to dress up in the same outfit for Halloween, she didn't let him see the child. And I'm like, what? Just because he didn't want to wear the same outfit for Halloween? But ultimately, this is where it gets crazy. She tried to put him on child support. He told her, well, why don't you do this? He gave her $10,000 and he started paying her $700 a month. The crazy part about that is all the back and forth, got to the point, this wasn't even his kid. this was not his kid. And I'm like, man, all that, and this is not even your child. He did a paternity test. I'm talking about, she bashed him, saying he wasn't a good father on Facebook, making all the women that knew him like he was a bad parent, which he was already in a relationship with another woman, but he was trying to co-parent, and she didn't want that. But when she had a boyfriend, it was okay for her to co-parent with, a boyfriend with him. But I mean, stuff like that, man. That's why I say I'm glad I'm married, and I don't got to deal with a lot of this stuff, because the back and forth now, it wasn't that much, and if it was hidden to the point, man. This situation now, it's getting out of hand. I mean, ultimately. But, the situation is the situation. I'm about to get ready to jump off of here. Shout out to the people coming in. Hit the like button. I'm actually about to swing over to Prince PL. Shout out to him. About to swing over to Prince channel right now. See if I can pin this comment. And I'm about to actually swing over to his channel. He's about to, have his dealings on Kamala, talk about that. And I'm almost to the job. I'm just pulling in anyway. So shout out to everybody coming in. Like I said, hey man, this presidency, it's going to change a lot of stuff, but man, focus on your money. Whoever be the president, don't matter. Focus on your money. And with that being said, I'll be out of here. You know what I always say when I get out of here? We here, we gone. Peace.